The first time I realized I wasn't just dealing with an annoying HOA, I was standing in my yard watching 4 drones circle my barn like vultures. I didn't see a hobbyist. I saw surveillance. And by sundown, the Homeowners Association president was pounding on my gate like she owned the land under my boots. I'm Ethan Carter, mid-30s, work from home, quiet by design. I bought a small place on the edge of Cedar Ridge Estates because I wanted space, a little sky, and zero small-talk politics. The listing didn't say welcome to a neighborhood court system run by a woman with a clipboard and a God complex, but that's exactly what I moved next to. Week 1. I'm unloading boxes, setting up my fence line, minding my own business. That's when Brenda Whitlock shows up, sunglasses big enough to hide behind white blouse, perfect hair, and that smile that's polite in the way a parking ticket is polite. She didn't even say hello like a normal person. She said, "You'll want to come to our next Homeowners Association meeting. We need to get you aligned." I told her calm as I could I'm not in the HOA. Brenda tilted her head like I'd spoken the wrong language. Everyone in Cedar Ridge is subject to the community standards. I pointed at my gate at the posted sign at the boundary markers I'd already verified before I bought the place. My deed says otherwise. My property line says otherwise. This land is mine. Her smile didn't change, but her eyes did. We'll see. And that was the moment I learned "we'll see" is HOA code for "I'm about to make this your whole personality." 2 days later, the letters started. Thick envelopes, bold stamps, urgent. Compliance, inspection notice. They cited aesthetic, harmony, noise concerns, unauthorized fencing, and my personal favorite, possible unsafe structures, which was their way of saying my barn offended Brenda's feelings. The problem was, they weren't asking, they were commanding, so I did the boring grown-up thing. I responded in writing, short, clean, unemotional. I told them they had no authority over my parcel, that no one from the Homeowners Association had permission to enter, and that any attempt to trespass would be documented and reported. I kept copies. I kept dates. I kept the receipts, because that's how you survive people like Brenda. For about a week it was just paper warfare. Then it turned social. Neighbors slowed down at my gate like it was a tourist stop. I'd catch someone holding a phone up pretending they were texting while their camera stayed pointed at my property. A couple people I'd never met gave me this look like I'd moved in with a criminal record. And Brenda loved that part. She'd stroll past with a little group like she was doing a parade. Not marching band energy, more like public shaming, but make it suburban. One afternoon she tried the friendly intimidation routine. She stood at my gate and said, "Ethan, if you cooperate, this can be easy. You don't want to become that house." I leaned on the metal and said, "It's already that house because you keep showing up." That's when her voice sharpened. "We can levy fines. We can place liens. We can make things very expensive for you." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I just said, "You can try, but you're not stepping foot past that line." She left like she'd won something. And the next morning I found orange survey flags poked into the grass near my fence. No survey company name, no permit notice, no neighborly explanation, just flags. Like they were quietly auditioning to move my property line without telling me. That's when I put up new cameras. Not because I was scared, because I was tired of arguing with air. For a couple days things went weirdly quiet. No letters, no Brenda, no little neighborhood parade. And honestly, that silence was worse than the noise, because it felt like the pause before something stupid. Then early one morning I heard it, a low steady buzz like a swarm that couldn't decide where to land. I stepped outside and saw a drone hovering above my barn camera, angled down like it had a job. It wasn't high up like some kid flying for fun. It was low, precise, staring. I stood there with my coffee cooling in my hand and thought, "Are you kidding me?" The next day, same time, another drone. Then a third. Then on day 3, 4 drones slid into position like a coordinated team, front yard, barn roof, back pasture, and one hovering right over my porch line. That's not curiosity. That's a tactic. And for a second, just a second, I hit this wall inside my chest. Not guilt, not maybe I'm wrong, just exhaustion. Because what do you even do with that? You can't reason with someone who thinks rules are whatever she says they are. You can't be the bigger person when the bigger person is getting filmed on his own land like he's the villain in Brenda's made-up documentary. I remember sitting at my kitchen table that night staring at the stack of letters, the camera invoices, the printed screenshots, and thinking, I could sell, I could walk away, I could let this become someone else's headache. That was the closest I got to giving up, not because I believed Brenda, because I knew she'd never stop unless something forced her to. So I called a lawyer. Her name was Sarah Whitman. Calm voice, sharp mind, and the kind of patience you only get after you've spent years cleaning up other people's messes. I told her everything. The letters, the flags, the threats, the drones. Sarah didn't gasp or dramatize it. She just said, okay, we're going to build a clean record. We're going to remove emotion from it. And we're going to make sure your response is stronger than their story. That night I sent one more notice, certified mail signature required. Simple language, no contact, no entry, no surveillance. Any further harassment would be treated as such. Then I waited. The next morning, the drones came back. 4 of them, again low and deliberate, like they wanted me to react. Like they were hunting for the moment I snapped so Brenda could point and say, see, this is why the Homeowners Association has to control him. I stood in the yard, feeling my pulse in my neck, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to perform for her. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to chase them down the street like some cartoon. I was going to end it. I won't get into details because I'm not here to give anyone ideas. I'll just say this: on private property, with clear signage, with documented harassment, the law doesn't require you to sit there and accept being surveilled. One by one, those drones stopped flying. Plastic cracked. Propellers snapped. Silence returned. Real silence, the kind that lets you hear your own breath again. And then, like clockwork, Brenda arrived. She slammed her hand against my gate and screamed my name like she was summoning me to judgment. Behind her, 2 board members hovered like backup singers. A handful of neighbors stood at a distance filming, because of course they did. Brenda yelled, "You destroyed my property." I walked up slow, not angry, controlled. "Your property was trespassing." "That's not a thing," she snapped. I pointed at the sign on my gate. "It's literally a thing." She waved a folder in the air. "The Homeowners Association has the right to ensure compliance and community safety." I said, "Not on my land, not with drones, not without permission." Her voice went high. "We're suing you. We're pressing charges. You're going to regret this." And I just stared at her for a second because she actually believed what she was saying. She believed being president of an HOA meant she could invade someone's privacy, then act shocked when the person didn't smile about it. A few days later, I got served. Brenda claimed I was violent, dangerous, a threat to the community. She painted those drones as safety equipment and herself as some kind of guardian. But Sarah had already prepared for that. We had timestamps. We had video. We had copies of the letters. We had proof of the flags. We had the certified notice showing they were warned. We didn't just defend, we countered. Harassment, trespass, invasion of privacy, abuse of authority. The whole pattern laid out like a timeline no one could ignore. When we finally got in front of a judge, Brenda walked in confident, like she expected applause. The judge didn't give her drama. The judge gave her questions. "What authority does the Homeowners Association have over this parcel?" Brenda started talking fast. "He's in Cedar Ridge. He's adjacent. He benefits from—" The judge cut her off. "That's not an answer. Is he part of the association, yes or no?" Brenda looked around like someone would rescue her. "He refuses to be." The judge's eyebrows didn't move. "That's still not an answer." Sarah slid the deed across, the boundary description, the recorded map. The judge read it, then looked at Brenda like she was looking at a toddler holding a crayon in a courtroom. Then came the drone footage, the letters, the warnings, the surveillance pattern. Brenda tried to interrupt. The judge shut it down. By the time it was over, Brenda's posture was different. The sunglasses confidence was gone. The "we'll see" energy had dried up. The judge dismissed her claim, then granted our request: no contact, no trespass, no surveillance, no so-called inspections, and no more HOA harassment. Brenda and her board were ordered to stop and to cover legal costs tied to their misconduct. Brenda opened her mouth like she wanted to threaten me again. Nothing came out, because for the first time she was standing in a room where her title didn't mean anything. I walked out without saying a word to her. I didn't need to. The gate at my property stayed shut, and this time it stayed quiet. Lesson learned: when someone mistakes a neighborhood rule book for a crown, paper trails and firm boundaries are what bring them back to earth.